Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Clutch Drop Cup Series. This is round number 10 of the regular season. We're here at the Roval. This is our third and final road course of the season, and we're going to see who can win here today at this road course. Garrett Powell, who's dominated at the Glen and then also at Road America 2 weeks ago, doesn't look like he'll be racing here today, having a little bit of a wheel malfunction. So now it's really a wild card of who's going to win the race here today. It's looking like it's going to be between Austin Gretarix as well as Justin Munsell, as both those drivers almost a full second faster than the rest of the field. But we're going to have to wait and see for this 60-lap event here today. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Scott Rankin. And Scott, this is going to be a wild race for these drivers. The Roval, a beast to handle for these drivers.
Oh, a beast to handle. Like, that's understating it. That is 100% understating it. A beast to handle? Well, these guys right now, sitting on grid, they've got some nice cool tires. Give it 2 laps, those things are going to start melting right off the tire and onto the road. So things to consider tonight. Yeah, a 1:17.068, fastest lap for Justin Munsell, who's out on pole position. But Austin Gretarix right behind him only did a 1:17.1 in qualifying. His best lap in practice, 1:16.797. But that lap time is sort of irrelevant after 2 laps on the tires, because then you fade back into the 120s. You're looking at about a 122 to 123 range is about where you're going to settle in. Guys who are doing a 119, they'll probably settle into about a 124. So that's where you're sort of looking at. And I'll tell you what, drivers are starting to roll around on their formation lap. What this is all about, warm your brakes up, but do not warm those tires up. You want those things stone cold when we go green.
And just like you said, our starting row is going to be Justin Munsell, Austin Gretarix, and then if you go back to row number 2, Matt Dyer, Shane Terrian. Shane Terrian, a surprise back at Road America 2 weeks ago. Matt Dyer had a fast car, but just could not finish the race after being involved in an accident with a lap traffic. That's going to be something else that these drivers are going to have to deal with as the runs go on, is dealing with lap traffic. Go back to row number 3, Bronson Stafford, Brady Clark, part of PRN. They just joined here this week, and they're going to be a new crew coming in. They've got other drivers that are going to be involved in this series. Move on back to 7th and 8th place. Got Robert Kenny and Dylan Stipe back in 9th and 10th. You got Mike Tellier and Derek Schilling. Derek Schilling, last time we saw him at a road course, did not go very well for that 69 machine. The rest of the grid will just be moving on. But, you know, you talked about tires being an issue, but blocking up your tires and your brakes, that's also going to be an issue for a lot of these drivers going on this racetrack.
Yeah, not just that, but also the chatter as well. If you've got a setup that's going to keep those things glued to the road, but you've got to be careful. I think one of the best possible things that you can do with effectively 2 stages tonight and then the race green to the end, you're going to need to look after those rears, because on that long green flag run, if you can look after the rears, yeah, your pace may be mid-pack-ish on the early sort of sectors, but if you could keep those things nice and not so crispy and not so melted, all of a sudden 10 laps into the run, you're going to start flying by guys who are just struggling to keep their cars on the road. It's going to be about incident management tonight. Everyone out here in these cars at this circuit is going to make mistakes, and I'm not just talking 1, I'm talking 5, 6, 7. If you can keep that number down, every time you make an incident, say let's lose on average, say 5 seconds for every incident. Heck, I'd rather be really, really slow and make no incidents than, be one of the quicker guys up front and off track. These guys would have done a lot of practice, a lot of testing. They're on those setups, so hey, let's see what they can pull out.
Yeah, another thing about incidents is we were at Road America the last time we were at a road course, and it's a pretty wide open track where you can find yourself in sands and in the grass. Here at the Roval, it's a lot more narrow. Those walls are going to sneak up on you if you find yourself drifting up a little bit too high or spinning out into them.
And no fast repairs. That's the key thing to keep in mind. You know, other leagues, they may have that option. You know, it's definitely easy to find yourself into another car. None of that here tonight. So you need to keep that thing clean. You need to keep it sharp. You need to keep it pointy. In fact, take it nice and easy in these opening couple laps as they go green.
65 laps here at the Roval. Green flag out in the air as Justin Munsell going to be leading the way. Then the 13 of Gretorix going to be following suit. The 2 of Matt Dyer also behind. As everyone's having issues at Bronson Stafford, he's going to be getting to the wall and a lot of cars stacking up and multiple machines behind him. Robert Kenny involved as everyone is scattering around. There's a car all the way in the back. I believe that's the 14. No, excuse me, that's the 77 of Woodruff that went off course in turn number 1 as well. And that is disastrous for all these cars. No yellow, we stay green.
Yeah, look, I mean, you know, if it was an oval there, maybe potentially, but even then, in that section of the track, if another couple of cars pile in, that's definitely a caution. It's normally when that track starts to get blocked that you will see a caution out. So, guys that are looking to make a huge advantage out of that lap number 1, looks like we got... Just taking a quick look through. Sorry, I'm not getting enough data on this one. Pass it on back over to you.
Right now, Tom Bourne, another car that was heavily involved in that incident. Multiple cars that are going to be dealing with damage. We talked about the 61, the 34 involved in that one. Bronson Stafford was the main reason for that first incident, but going to be able to continue moving forward as coming across the line. Lap 1 going to be led by the 69 machine.
In the back straight chicane, car number 14, I believe that's S. Hardison, is just over on his roof, got down onto the rumble strips on the inside, preventing you from being down on the painted section of the race circuit, trying to get the car to stop. Well, he's on his roof. Blaine Woodruff, like you mentioned, missing a hood right now. He is driving the most modified thing in the field, runs over that last chicane. Right now for him, again, damage limitation. Get to that first stage break, manage those tires. You throw this one away early, you try and focus on those late race laps and see if you can make a lot of ground up there.
Tyler Riggs, another car that just had an issue after watching that replay on what happened to Hardison there after that flip. I mean, he was trying to get around Woodruff, but just wasn't able to because of how much slower that car is. And it's just those mistakes that you're talking about with these drivers. As Spencer Hardison overshoots his pit stall, and now he's going to be trying to find his stall. Also, Matthew Rodriguez, he's going to be in the pits trying to get damage repair. That 48 machine heavily damaged. And then also Joseph Kazi, who is actually just came into the pits, just starting on pit road, has not officially taken a lap just yet. As the chaos initially here, but battled back here in 18th place. A lot of cars scattering around right on top of one another, starting around even 17th place, where it's around Robert Kenny, but a car drifting back quickly. That's going to be the 33 of Landon Allers.
But way up out in front, it's Justin Munsell versus Austin Gretorix. Remember how we said that these guys qualified nearly a second faster? Well, there's just about a second between them on the road. 5 seconds back to Matt Dyer. So he's going to really have to pull the finger out if he wants to stay with these guys. Maybe he might just be taking it nice and easy, looking to extend that run. He just let Shane Terrian by. So keep your eyes. There's a 3-car battle there for that 3rd position.
Yeah, right there. I mean, we're seeing it's Brady Clark, as well as Shane Terrian and Matt Dyer going to be involved in this. Dyer went extremely wide, which was going to hurt him, losing that 3rd place position. It might make him cause him to lose 4th place here, as right now Brady Clark, debut race. It's 88 machines looking pretty good right now in the top 5 position.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, he's done a phenomenal job to really keep his car on the track, keep moving it up, really trying to make some moves. Matt Dyer, well, maybe he's still got that qualifying set dialed in. You could really push the tires quite hard on the qualifying laps. You've only got 2 laps to do, but when you're looking at 20 for a stage, man, you've got to be as kind as you possibly can to those sorts of things. If any of these drivers have to come down pit lane early, that's not going to be good for them. I can't see anyone wanting to come down pit lane in the middle of a stage.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the way the fuel run is going to be for this race, it's around 19 and a half laps that you can go. So it's going to put these drivers right on that marker. If you're able to save fuel, you might be able to make it here without pitting. Some of these drivers that are really pushing it, they might have to find themselves coming in for a splash of fuel. And if you've got a big enough lead, like we're starting to see our front 2 make, they might be able to just come in and take a splash and get back out there.
If you're coming down the pit lane and grabbing a splash, you're definitely going to want to grab tires. The time deficit is just so much better, as well as not just that. After the tires have been cooked for such a long period of time, you want a fresh set. You really want to be able to make sure that you're not trying to just keep the car underneath you over that long run. So anytime that you're coming down pit lane, tires is always going to be a must.
And now we're going to be dropping back to this battle for 12th place as Tom Bourne, Philip Scott, and also Bronson Stafford going to be rallying around one another. As you can see, a modified machine of that 54 of Tom Bourne in front of the 8 of Philip Scott. Philip Scott and Tom Bourne, and Bronson Stafford, they had a little bit of an incident back at Road America. The car is going to be having issues. That's the 28 of Nathan Hall that's going to be having that issue with the 28 machine back in 22nd position, losing positions bad as we go back up to that battle with Bronson and Tom Bourne. Tom Bourne into the wall after the chicane on the back stretch.
It's not clean. That's not really what we want to be seeing. So, look, I mean, again, oh man, look at that gap that's actually forming between the leaders now. Munsell has managed to get out to 2 seconds. Lap times are starting to fall away. We're seeing the last lap around for Munsell was a 1:18.94, 1:19.74. So I'd say Austin's actually made a mistake on that last lap, or he could be just trying to back things off and conserve things now, whether Justin's really trying to push and make him come after him in these early stages of the race. Matt Dyer really trying to stick with the 2 cars ahead of him, but Shane Theron has actually started to run away a little bit from Brady Clark.
Yeah, Shane Theron kind of known for being much better at the ovals and has just been progressively getting better and better at these road courses. He finished out with, I believe, a second place finish last time at Road America, now looking to get another top 3 finish here at the Roval. Just you know, sometimes you're not feeling the best. As a car going to be spun around, that's going to be Derek Schilling, who's going to be spun around here in the middle section of this road course. But he's got a train of cars that are coming by and making it very difficult for the 69 machine to spin himself back around.
The benefit of having a lot of horsepower at the rear wheels is you just jump on that accelerator, you flick the thing back around. Only problem there, you got to manage the tire temperature. That's why he hasn't done it there. He's obviously struggling a little bit, falling down quite a few places. But right now, I mean, you make a mistake, sure, it happens. But like we said at the top of the broadcast, it's gonna happen with so many laps at the Roval. Forget trying to not make any mistakes. What you're trying to do is risk management and mistake management. If you can keep those mistakes to a 2.5 second mistake, all right, you're gonna make 3 of those in the race. Perfect. That's all you really need to do.
As Brandon King, you just saw there on the backstretch chicane, gonna be stopped after he was cutting the chicane and losing a lot of time. As now we move up for the battle here for 9th place. We've got a lot of cars in this row. It's actually looking like now a battle for possibly for 8th place, starting with Justin Belmonte, and then you've got Dylan Stipe, Devin Durham, and as well as Bronson Stafford and Scott, all lined up in a row, just waiting to see who's going to pick which position and start moving forward.
Yeah, this is a good little one to watch because, I mean, road courses, ovals, you're allowed to go a lot more wide. You sort of got a little bit more leeway. You know, you can run up 3, 4 wide, at some tracks 5 wide if you're an absolute madman. But here, it's about setting up your overtakes. Maybe you're going to want to take a little bit of a slower line into coming onto the back stretch before you come to that chicane. That means that you're compromising your entry speed. Maybe you're a little bit slower through the oval, but if you're trying to set up that overtake, one of the best overtaking spots on the circuit is that backstretch chicane. If you can get down the inside because you've got such a better run off the corner, get onto the brakes a little bit later, job done.
Yeah, it's looking super tight up here as Stipe going to be trying to do his best, but right now the 24 machine under a lot of fire from the 61 of Bronson Stafford, and Stafford gonna duck his nose under the 24 car and side by side at turn number 1 as they continue to battle through turn 2 into turn 3 and 3 and 4. And 61 gets by. Here comes the 88 and others, looking like this 24 car is going the wrong way.
Look, and like I said, it comes down to management. Did he push early? Maybe he's doing a little bit of management right now, looking to try and look after the car through this middle period of the race. Maybe right at the start of those short runs is when he's strongest. We'll have to keep our eyes on the lap times. Just taking a quick look through this little battle pack, all sitting around the 122 to 123 mark. So low 23s, high 22s. Starting to break away was Justin Belmonte with a 22.6. So he is definitely the fastest of this group. And the fastest that's actually inside the battle pack is Bronson Stafford with a 22.9. So these guys are relatively close in terms of pace. Oh, that's a 24 car with both sets of rumble strips. That's not good for the thing. If you're looking to look after your machine, that is not how you want to take that chicane.
Absolutely not. You want to make sure you don't make those mistakes, especially going over the rumble strips like you just did. I mean, that's going to be hurting your suspension in some type of fashion, and that's going to be a little bit of optional damage repair that you're going to have once you come into the pits.
I mean, they take a beating, these things, but I don't think they're going to take that much a beating. Duran's job right now is to try and back the pace down for this next 2 or so laps, let the tires cool off just a little bit, have the grip come back to him. Maybe he just has to seed this to the number 8, follow him around, try and find out where he's losing the time. Maybe it's a mental game. Maybe he's pushing to... Oh, that was so close to the barriers right there.
Yeah, I think he's just pushing it a little bit too far. Might be carrying a little bit too much speed that's carrying him into that wall, or Obi gets in those rumble strips there as well. I mean, Duran is really just not giving a care at the moment as he's just trying to find speed anywhere he can. And in front of him, that's going to be Belmonte that we were just talking about. That 12 machine was looking quick, and a mistake for himself pushes him back from 8th place all the way back here to 11th.
That has to be a couple. No, okay, no, it wouldn't be a couple mistakes because the battle pack just in front of him he would have spun around somewhere, and the battle pack would have drifted past him. Had to wait for them to get back past. But if Justin gets back onto the rear end of David Duran's job right now is to manage things. Is that the 48 car that was on the infield? No,
that was the 48 machine.
48.
That's going to be Matthew Rodriguez, who got out of shape and was just staying there, letting traffic go on by. He is right now 5 laps down. That 48 machine just not having a great day at the moment.
Maybe he's parking it up there for a good view of the traffic as it flies by, huh?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Matthew Rodriguez, a known FRN member, the man that helps us behind the scenes, having a little bit of view from a different perspective for us.
Hopefully he can jump on in at the end of the stage break and tell us what they look like from the inside of the car. He's got some work to do though if he wants to make his way back onto the lead couple of laps. Look at our lead battle. It's actually started to close up once again. A 121.35 last time around for Justin Munsell, and Austin Greatorex was actually a 120.90. So he's actually the fastest car in the field right now. He's really managing that pace to a phenomenal level.
Yeah, it just went from 2 seconds down to a half a second. Right now, this 13 machine is like a rocket ship, but I think the key factor on why we're starting to see this is lap traffic, as Munsell is really not catching the lap traffic at the optimal time, and it's really hindering him at this moment and losing a lot of time on this gap. And with having lap traffic, I mean, once you get by a guy, you kind of have to reset and get back into that rhythm that you were on when you had clean air in front of you.
I mean, it comes back to what we were saying before as well. You got to set him up. I think the actual thing that's really caused him to lose a lot of time, is there a crinkle in the right front of that 98 machine? I think he's actually wearing that right front quite heavily. And that right front, even though it's a Roval, that still takes a lot of the load around here.
Yeah, I mean, you have to drive most of the oval once you're coming around this track. So you still have to race around an oval with the road course aspects here at Charlotte. And yeah, no, that right front is very crinkled up. There is a lot of damage. It looks like contact with the wall possibly for that 98 machine that is making him lose all this time so far.
So if you're in Austin Greatorex's shoes or one of his teammates' shoes, you want to make sure that he knows about that as soon as possible, that he can start managing things. We mentioned his pace has been phenomenal over the last couple of laps. The last lap around, he was 1.5 seconds faster than Justin Munsell. So the race is starting to fall into his hands, but look, we're, halfway point on the first stage? There's a long way to go yet.
Yeah, in that last lap, I mean, Munsell just ran, it looked like they both kind of reset. That was a very clean lap for both of them. Munsell running about 0.2 faster than the 13 machine that time around. And both of them are in the same Discord, and both of them are known to be working with Luminary. Big news, Justin Munsell actually just signed with Team Luminary, and he's going to be working with them moving forward. So that 98 machine carrying a lot of speed, and Austin is also a part of Team Luminary, usually a part of helping with the road course setups, and it's good to see him out racing. So both these guys teammates and trying to maximize their speed while trying to pull away. And right now it's 1-2-3 Luminary as you drop back 20 seconds from this battle for the lead. That's where you find Shane Terrian with himself kind of in no man's land with no one near him.
Good. This, like, if I want to be somewhere right now and I'm looking at the end of the race, there's a little bit of damage to his left front actually. So he's tagged the wall at some point by the look of that. Tiny little bit of damage, so nothing to really be as worried about. Probably not really impacting the performance or, you know, the aerodynamic capabilities of the car too much. And I mean, the unloaded side of the car as well. So not something to be too worried about. If you're going to slap the wall, do it on that left front corner. Right now, if I want to be anywhere, I want to be in his shoes. I'm in clean air. I can manage the gap behind. If I start to see green sectors to the cars ahead of me, well, all of a sudden, okay, maybe we start pushing a little bit harder. We just keep an eye on that gap. If the gap starts to close dramatically, all right, then I switch on. But right now, it's just about cruising. Set yourself up for that last ditch attempt at the back end of the race. Keep a clean car. Right now, if you grab damage, even though you're going to be quick right now, forget it. When we get a stage break, when that caution flag comes back out, the field condenses, you're just dead in the water. So that's what has got to be, and not just Shane's head, but pretty much everyone throughout the field's head tonight.
Yeah, we're 9 laps away from that stage 1 ending here for these drivers. So still a lot of racing to be seen, but we are waiting to see when these drivers are going to be coming in. A lot of drivers that had to come into the pits. Brandon King just had to get himself teleported in that 89 machine. Looks like he's just been struggling all race long and finally just parked it for the moment. See if he can get his damage repair and get back out on track. As we move back up front, it's less than a half a second between our leaders of Munsell and Greaterix.
That's absolutely, and I mean, this is where it's really going to start to come down here. You've got to control the car over the bump coming into the final chicane. Then you try and set the car up. Try and get it nice and clean. Not get too close to the wall on exit. You want to keep the car nice and settled. You're looking for lap traffic. Matthew Rodriguez lets them both go. That actually impacted Austin Greaterix there. So he's got to be aware of that. All right, settle down. Look after the tires. Look after the tires. Take a breath. Yep.
Munsell got extremely close to the exit of that corner. Almost dinged the wall. I mean, you could not have fit a piece of paper between that car and the wall with how close he was. I honestly thought that he was going to hit it and absolutely ricochet his car into the other wall on the other side of the track. But Munsell continues to trek on, as it's now a little bit over a half a second gap between our two front runners.
Yeah, look, risk management, that is the fastest line. That's where you want to be coming through. You know, you want to let the car flow out as far as you can to the right-hand side on that second part of the first corner. So, look, it's fine, but it's risk management. I agree with you. I don't want to be too close to that wall, but if you're going to be fast around here, you got to. How far you want to drag that out? Well, I think he was pushing right in the line that time around.
Well, also Munsell has to think of points. If you, based off of the way that we've been seeing how much important stage points have been this season, if Justin Munsell can win stage 1 and maybe win stage 2, he can get just as many points as the driver that wins today's race. It might even have more points than that driver. So Justin Munsell might be thinking, I gotta push as hard as I can because I need to win this stage to carry on stage points just in case I don't win this race here today. I can point my way into the final 12 for the chase.
Something else to consider, though, is a 65-lap race. You're looking at 1.5 hours, right? Mental load. Charlotte Roval, you can't breathe. You absolutely can't breathe. The only time you're going to get an opportunity to sit back, take a deep breath, relax, and grab that water is at the stage breaks. At any time other than that you're pitting. It's so intense on a driver. We did 2 hours around here in a different league last weekend, and that was the biggest thing that I was worried about, was trying to keep myself cool, trying to work on my own mental focus and fortitude, and ensure that I've still got to, again, like I said, pointy car, back end of the race. That was my focus. The early part of the race didn't matter, but to be able to do that, I had to concentrate throughout it. I had to focus myself, make sure, braking marker, all right, turn in point, throttle on point. Is there a little bit of wheel spin there? All right, let's manage that. Let's put that in the back of the mind for now. How's the grip level? How am I feeling? When's my next pit stop? All of that, when you're racing around tight turns on such a tight track, whew, it's not easy.
And right now, watching this battle, Munsell's kind of letting his car float while Austin is thinking, what is the best way to go straight? Fastest way to go is going straight, and that's why we're seeing this 13 car just chip away at this gap almost every single time through that backstretch chicane. But you've got 3 cars, lap traffic that is going to be in front of our leaders, and we talked about lap traffic at Road America causing a lot of issues for drivers that were in the top 3, top 5, and just like that, a little bit of a shakeup by one car and almost could take out our leaders, as Munsell had a very huge scare there with the 9 of Delaney.
I tell you what, Munsell actually got a really poor exit off corner number 4 there, so he was actually a little bit vulnerable if Austin's closer. Right now, Austin, keep it cool. Sit your car underneath his rear bumper. He's going to make a mistake. Just make sure you're ready to grab it.
And he's going to come up to this backstretch chicane. This is where we've been seeing Greaterix be so much faster than this 98 machine. But here it comes. Munsell just drifts up and gives the position to the 13 machine as Hardison also gets out of the way. And we've got a new leader of the 13 of Austin Greaterix.
It was weird, the fact that he really got out there. Maybe he is starting to struggle. Maybe he's starting to suffer. And he said, look, I don't want to fight this. Again, mental picture, right? Mental picture. Concentration, fatigue, exhaustion. He's going, all right, I can't hang on to this. This is too much. Nah, I'm just going to back it off. I'm going to let him have this one, and I'll take the next one.
Yeah, we're starting to see a lot of cars struggling as we have more lap traffic in front of our leaders. It's really not safe. I mean, our leaders are running so much faster than the rest of the field. That closing rate is what's so dangerous between really our leaders and everyone else, because it seems like our leaders have really figured out the maximum braking point of how late you have to push. Well, everyone else is kind of playing very conservative and braking so much earlier, which is going to put a very scary moment for these drivers and a little bit of a worrisome spot for our front two.
I'll tell you what, have a look at the car that's just in front here. That's a 54 machine of Tom Bourne. That thing has nosed it into the wall somewhere. Is that the Tom's heartburn turn? Who knows? Haven't kept our eyes much on him. But that's so easy to do around here. You miss up one braking point. Like you said, you're in the wall right there through the infield section that Justin Munsell just went through. If you get on the throttle just slightly too much, you slap the wall on the right-hand side, you bend the steering, race night over. You've got to manage that across 65 laps, 90 minutes. It's don't for any second, don't for any stretch of the margin think that these guys are going to easy job. Oh God! Oh,
I mean, Bourne. That right there is exactly what we were talking about, not knowing the braking zones. And Tom Bourne almost just took out Munsell in a blink of an eye. And now Tom Bourne, who was multiple laps down, 2 laps down, had to repair that nose, almost just took out Munsell. And again, these front runners, they're not safe even around lap traffic.
What Tom Bourne will be saying right now the next time he comes down pit lane, and I think it'll be the same for Justin Munsell. It's going to be 4 tires and a change of underwear, please. Oh boy, that was freaky. Taking a quick look through the field.
I mean, leaders again. There's the 88 machine getting a little bit out of shape.
It's not easy, man. It's not easy. You're trying to take it easy. You're trying to let them by, and that means that you're offline, that you're making a little bit of mistakes, and you're somewhere you're not used to driving the car. So it's not as easy to let guys go as well. Something else I did want to point out, the 24 machine of David Duran just got lapped by our leaders. He slid a long way off that battle pack, so he's definitely got a short run setup. If we get cautions, things may go in his favor, but over the long run, he's going to start slipping back.
Well, also, we're slowly coming to the end of stage 1, and we're going to be seeing drivers that might be thinking, hey, I just got put a lap down. Why not just take my fuel and my tires now so I can take the wave around once that stage comes around, because I'm not going to be that first car 1 lap down. And
that's not a bad decision to make as well. When we go under caution, you're going to have the opportunity to cool off your tires. So you're going to get this double dipping on the tires pace. Yeah, you wear them a little bit, so your pace isn't going to be as fresh as mint as somebody who doesn't, but the fact that your tire is going to be in that operating temperature range and whatnot for a little bit longer, and you're getting out of the way and out of some of these battle packs when you don't really need to be there, yeah, I don't half mind it.
As we're continuing to watch another group that our leaders have to go through, I mean, this is coming up the top 10, and a lot of cars that are slow down. Hall's going to be really slow on the inside, and contact of the car in front of that Stipe. And oh my goodness, this is very close action. You got to be careful. Excuse me, that was Tufts that got into the wall there, just put a lap down. As now these leaders, I mean, it's nerve-wracking just trying to cut through traffic sometimes.
It's nerve-wracking for the traffic as well. You see the leaders coming up to you, and they're coming at such a rate. There's another car off down on the infield there. I believe that might have been Causey, who's just drifted a fair few places back. But I mean, you're having problems running your own line, let alone trying to get around the traffic as well. You see, I believe that was Tyler Riggs just moving to the top line. That's obviously the best and the easiest place to do it, is on those corners. But sometimes you're going to manage it through the infield sections. So good job by the leaders to avoid everything so far.
Yeah, so far they're trying to do the best that they can. And right now, a total of 9 cars left on the lead lap. And we are coming up to 2 laps to go here in stage number 1, and based off the rate that our leaders are going compared to the rest of the field, we could be seeing our leaders put up to possibly everyone a lap down except for our top 7. And I talked about a car that if they go a lap down, they might come into the pits just for that strategy. We're starting to see it. Tufts and Stipe both just came into the pits right now.
Don't half mind it from him. Look, you got to have a crack, right? You're clearly starting to fall back. You're clearly having some problems. You've got those tire sets tonight. I believe they said 5 tire sets, including the starting sets. So over 65 laps, you can do it at 12 laps-ish, 12, 13 laps is sort of around your tire window to actually be able to get to the end of the race. You're not going to want to do that. You want to keep one just in the bank, sort of if you can use it under a caution period. If that happens, that's away from our stage breaks, then you might have something a little bit extra up your sleeve. But right now, roll the dice. Why not? You've got nothing else to lose.
Yeah, and Scott, another factor we haven't really talked about that much, and that's track temp. This track has been pretty clouded during this stage, and so it's just been cooling off more and more. It's not being beamed down by the sun. And that's another factor for these tires on why they might not be being worn down as fast as they could have been being worn down.
Look, I mean, tire wear, not a huge issue. Tire wear itself, you normally only get them down the 75 sort of range, so that you're not going to be burning up the tires to the point where they're going to explode. But it's tire temperature. That's the real key factor. These tires, they're made for doing ovals, man. They're not made for this sort of load. V8 supercars, very similar style of car, run with a slightly different style of tire that allows them to run a little bit longer. They're not quite as wide. That's the real issue. Is the tires, the wider the tire is, the more it's made for going in a straight line, the less it wants to turn. So one of the downsides of NASCARs, but I tell you what, it makes for some exciting racing when they go to ovals though, so.
A lot more cars coming into the pits. We talked about Stipe coming in, Tufts, as well as Robert Kenny was thinking about coming in the pits, did not. Derek Schilling did come into the pits and will be getting out as we are on the white flag for stage number 1 for these drivers. As just coming into the pits now, that's going to be Shane Terrian, who was in 3rd place.
That's an interesting call.
Whether or not, I mean, it's not a bad call at all, because if he pits now, he's going to be saving fuel during the stage caution, and with how late we're going to be taking off, he isn't going to have to pit.
And he's clear, I believe, back to Matt Dyer as well. I'm pretty sure, no, Dyer just goes past him. I think he might take him back on pit lane exit, so there's a few options. Depends how much damage he's got on that car. Potentially could have whacked the wall quite hard on that last lap. I don't actually have anything saying that he's had an incident of sorts. Doesn't mean that there wasn't something. But he's actually slid a lot further back than I thought. Pit lane time, he's up to 28 seconds or so stuck in the vase. So there's some repairs being made right there.
Repairs being made. He's going to be trying to get out of pit road now, and will get out of pit road before our leader, I believe. And he will. So getting pit road service done, getting repairs done, and now can head back in. Justin Munsell actually pulled in before Greaterix crossed the line, it looks like. So he's going to actually get his service done and might be able to then take the lead before Austin does. And now Austin's going to have to be behind this 98 machine when we go green again.
Look, the issue for me here is that there's going to be a lot of traffic in between them. So the chance for potentially Greaterix to actually get through the lane and back out in front of Munsell is huge. But I don't know. Look, if I'm filling these cars right now, I'm filling them for the next stage. The less weight that they have to handle in terms of fuel, the better it's going to be on terms of tire wear. You don't want to overfill these things. You're going to put a lot of pressure through the tires. It just doesn't need to be there. I tell you what, Munsell needs to get out of the lane now. Otherwise, he's going to lose a place to Coleman, and that's not going to help his race prospects.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Munsell is still, and I think right now he pitted thinking, hey, I need to get damage repaired, because he was heavily damaged on that front right. And it looked like he might have dinged the wall a couple of other times as well since the last time we really documented it. And just trying to get as many repairs done. He's been in the pit road for over a minute now. Has been passed by quite a few drivers as our drivers up front are getting ready to come in for their pit stop. So even with coming in early, Munsell might be losing a lot of time. And the driver that might be gifted the lead now could be Shane Terrian, based on the fact that he pitted so early.
It depends. It absolutely depends on where Terrian comes in. I actually believe that, yeah, I think that was the right call from Terrian. He lost a lot in terms of stage points. And there goes Munsell out of the lane right now. Greaterix was only 30 seconds back, so it was quite close. He's going to have to push to get this car back around. I actually don't think he's going to make it. I don't think he passes Greaterix before Greaterix can get his service done. They're too close to the exit.
I don't think either. He just came out way too late. I mean, maybe a minute into his box, he would have been fine, but he was out there for almost 2 minutes. And by the time that he finally got out, these drivers were almost on the front stretch. I mean, if he pushes, maybe he can make it, but it's going to be extremely close.
I don't think he comes back out in the lead. I actually think he's going to come out somewhere around 3rd or 4th. I think he's going to be right in that mid-pack, which is, he's got to be careful. Because now he's pushing for a lap, then he has to let the tires cool off again, then they've got to come back up to temperature again. You could get some really funny tire behavior, but it will be close, so who knows?
Coming into the pits, it's going to be our whole entire front row of drivers that we're expecting to see. Everyone is planning to come in except for Shane Terrian and also the other drivers that pitted beforehand, and we're trying to get a wave around. As I say that, actually, it looks like even the drivers that pitted early, they're going to be pitting this time by, feeling like it is important to come in. Tyler Riggs is going to be our lucky dog of this stage caution. So that 26 machine is going to be running back around and trying to get his lap back. As Greaterix comes out, Shane Terrian is passed. But where's Munsell coming out of all this?
He's got it. He's got it. I think he's got it. It's going to be real close between him and Dyer. Munsell's just heading through corner number 2 right now. Coleman's just leaving the lane, so he's got it. He's back into 3rd place. But I tell you what, Terrian pulling the strategy card. He's done a real good job there.
Yeah, Shane Terrian pitting 2 laps. I believe it was a lap before the yellow flag came out for the end of stage 1. And instead of going for the maximum amount of stage points for 3rd place, trying to go for a little bit of a hold-up call of trying to maybe hold up Justin just a little bit or hold up Greaterix as best as he could. But this is a really gutsy call that we saw this 83 try back at Road America. It really didn't work out as well as he wanted to. I don't see this really being a solid strat on the long run of things because he's only going to be able to stay up front for maybe a lap or 2. I feel like Shane should have stayed out, gotten those 3rd place bonus points. He's already locked into the playoffs after getting 2 wins and winning last week at Indy, but still, it's an odd call for a strategy that we've already previously seen it not work out.
Look, you've got to try something different. You're not gaining anything from where he was. Now, with him in front, he's got control of the field on this restart. There's potential. Who knows? He may be completely and utterly fine. But Munsell's had to let a whole bunch of cars past. I'm actually not sure what that's about.
It might be based off of when they crossed the exit line out of pit road and not when they've completely exited out of that whole entire aspect of coming out of the pits possibly was the marker. Because if it's based off of that, Munsell was pretty far back. So maybe
but he was still through corner number 2, I think, before Coleman come out. So
there was also the question of maybe Munsell came into the pits too soon. That is another factor of when pit road was closed. That's when he came into the pits.
Could be an end of line penalty. In that case, he's in a world of hurt right now. And stage number 2 for him is going to be all about, remember what we're talking about, damage limitation, manage those mistakes, pit lane strategy. Well, he hasn't managed the mistakes. It's an end of line penalty. It has to be an end of line penalty.
It most likely will be, as drivers are getting themselves situated. We're going to be actually take a quick talk with our stage winner of Austin Greaterix. Austin, it's Sam and Scott. You got us?
I've got you.
You were battling with Justin during that whole entire first stage. Justin now is going to be starting pretty far back from you. How are you feeling about stage number 2?
I'm quite confident for this one. I was fuel saving for a lot of the first stage, so I shouldn't have to worry about that this one, so it should be quite good if I can clear Shane.
Shane made the option there to come in just before the end of the stage, so now he's out on you in front of you on track. Any strategy for getting around him? Maybe even use him to punch a hole in that air for a few laps?
I'll try and get past him as quick as possible. Looking at the pace of the previous stint, I've got a little bit more pace. I know he was tight on fuel, so that's why he pitted early. It was very, very close for a lot of people. So with the shorter stage now, it should be good. I can just get in front and push.
Austin, last question before we let you go. We saw lap traffic being a hindrance and a scare for a lot of the end of stage 1. Are you nervous about lap traffic once again for this stage?
So me and Justin are part of the same team, and we were discussing it as we were trying to fight through it. It is scary to be out there. Not everybody's to the same level, and I think some people are in their own little battles and didn't see us coming. So not only fighting the car, it's fighting the traffic is very hard.
Well, Austin, yeah, Scott, go on ahead.
Just about to say best of luck in this stage. I know that lap traffic, we were commenting on it. Best of luck getting around it. Try and keep things cool. And let's see if you can't get your teammate back up alongside you sometime soon.
Thank you very much, guys.
Good luck, Austin. That was Austin Greatrex, who got the stage win. Now going to be trying to go for a second stage win here today as we're on the backstretch. Scott, I mean, it's looking like this time around drivers feeling a lot more confident with fuel runs because it was so close for that first stage. Like I said, it's a shorter run for these drivers. They can make it to the end of, which the end of stage 2 is going to be start of lap 41. So these drivers feeling confident that they can make it to the end here.
I mean, right now, again, settle in, pick your target number. Sure, you want to get to the end of the stage, but what's the fuel number? Can you jump a few of the drivers in pit lane? If you could save a little bit of fuel. Remember what I said, rear tires are so crucial around here. So crucial. You look after them, you manage your pace a lot better. You don't want to push too heavily on those first couple of laps. Yeah, you got grip. Yeah, you've got that lower tire temperature. Well, the big story for me in this next stage is how far up Justin Munsell can get his car after that pitting mistake.
Shane Terrian already taking off here before we got to the end of the chicane and already off to a great start as himself and Greatrex get a good launch. It's basically the battle from third on back that we're kind of going to be nervous about. Bronson Stafford, the last time we were in this situation, found in 61 machines, spun around, and a lot of cars stacked up as we continue to watch the back half, because that's where cars have been damaged and been having a lot of issues, as it looks like everyone gets clean through the first couple of corners.
That's it. There's a couple drivers just coming and serving through pit lane, just making their way back out on the track now as well, so keep your eyes out on towards them. Not sure what that's about. Maybe they had penalties that they needed to serve at some point. Speeding on pit lane would be one of the big ones right now. Terrian, here's the story of the night. Manages the first stage perfectly in terms of his pit strategy. Yeah, loses a few points in that one. Well, Austin said he's faster and he needs to get by him nice and quickly. He has not been able to park his car anywhere near Shane on the opening lap of this stint. Well, does he now go into conservation mode and look to pass him in 10 laps time rather than 3?
Well, it's been this part right here where Austin's been his fastest is on that backstretch chicane, and he did it once again, cutting over 6/10. He just knows how to hit the corners perfectly where he doesn't have to drift on that final bend. He just goes straight across back onto the oval, and he's right on the tailpipes of that 83 machine. Shane Terrian under a lot of fire now as here comes Greatrex into turn number 1.
He's got that car really dialed in under braking, under turn in, but it's here. Terrian was so quick on that opening lap, got a really good jump, planned everything perfectly on the second stage. All he wants to do right now, throw a spanner in the works of Austin Greatrex. He wants to use him as a bludgeon to really keep the pack further and further behind. I tell you what, there's actually a shoes gap forming much of the way down through the field, but right now, Munsell's managed to make his way back up one spot already.
It looks like back in 20th place, Allard's going to have a lot of issues for that 33 machine. 2 laps down and now all the way back to 21st position. A lot of damage on that 33 machine as we move back up for that battle for the lead. A lot of updates for the cars on the back half of the field. Philip Scott, Deshaun Gorham, as well as Brandon King all have DNF'd from this race and are out of this thing. Matthew Rodriguez was in pit road trying to gain those positions back. This is kind of the Matthew Rodriguez playbook of might have issues at first, but be the car that stays out there for cars that DNF out.
That's it. I mean, you've always got to stay in it. You can only grab those points if you're still in the race. You're not in the race, you can't improve your finishing position whatsoever. Right now, Terrian's still doing a phenomenal job. And look at this. Coleman's actually managing to go with him. He's managing that gap as well. Greatrex really not able... Oh, that was a brush with the wall on the right-hand side. Terrian just putting too much power down coming through the final chicane on the lap. He's doing a phenomenal job. He's managing his race perfectly.
Yeah, it might be a little bit of a feeling pressure. I mean, all these drivers know that Greatrex has been notoriously known as the fastest car out here, a part of the Luminary team. And so Shane Terrian being a part of that team is feeling the pressure of, hey, I'm in front of you. I want to keep you behind me. I got to push this car as hard as I can, knowing that fuel isn't an issue this time around. But like you talked about at the start of the broadcast, tires might be the biggest issue for this second stage. And Shane Terrian might be quick now, but just wait for another lap or two. Those tires might be starting to fall off as Stipe going to be now a car teleporting to himself to pit road, having issues for that 20 machine. But back up front for this lead, Greatrex right there as we're coming to this back half chicane. And This is where he's been so strong in this 13 machine. Can he make the pass here off the exit?
That's what he's looking for. Get the power down nice and smoothly, nice and consistently. Now he's looking to be stable through this final NASCAR 3 and 4 corner. Then he'll look to get the car turned in. There's 2 lines through here. You can drift up a little bit. Try and straight line the braking zone a fair bit more. Try and allow the car to be a little bit more stable. The only problem with that, there's a bump. The higher you go up, the bigger the bump sort of becomes until you go right down the inside, and then you can't make the corner. So, you know, there's different ways of really attacking that corner. Greatorex is just going to be patient right now. Terrian's going to make a mistake. We said that. When is it? You have to be close enough to benefit from it. Well, he's got to manage things right now.
Yeah, we talked about that. Terrian made the issue on stage 1 already. Would that be his last mistake that he makes? An update on Justin Munsell, who started all the way back in 9th place. He's found himself up to now 7th and trying to run down Brady Clark in that 88 machine. Justin Munsell doing a great job cutting through. Biggest issue, he's 5.8 seconds back from our leaders. As here comes Greatorex, it looks like he's able to cut that corner so much better than Shane Terrian, but Terrian just carries the speed out. That's why he's just drifting a little bit higher than the 13, but you don't want to stay too high like he just was, losing time.
That's it, losing time. Also scrubbing those tires, putting more load. Greatorex is right there. Had half a thought about it. Setting it down the inside. Didn't do so. Now he'll foul back in. Does he get the run? No, I think that Terrian's got another great exit there off the back straight chicane. Now he'll try and get the car settled down. He'll look to defend just a little bit towards the inside. Discourage Greatorex from coming down the inside, so he defends absolutely perfectly. He's doing everything he needs to. He was unsettled through the chicane. Now Greatorex is going to look to the inside, and that's move done. Well done by both drivers. Terrian realized that the move was on and that he wasn't going to be able to fight him off for much longer and just had to let him go. But sometimes you just got to be aware of those things.
Yeah, it was a great run for Terrian there, able to hold off for as long as he did. That was a great showing by this 83 machine, but the issue is he was battling so hard and pushing that car for so much. Evan Coleman, Matt Dyer, Bronson Stafford, they're now looming in the wake to try to run down this 83 machine if he's already heated up those tires a little bit too much. As Evan Coleman now going to be within a second of that 83 machine as we start to see Terrian drift back further and further as drivers continue to be weighing on themselves. Like we said, 10 cars left on the lead lap. When will lap traffic become an issue for our leader?
Another update on Justin Munsell as well. He's managed to get it up to 6. Now he's looking to go on the hunt for Dyer and Stafford. Dyer's just lost a place here to Stafford, so he was slow there coming out onto the oval. Now he's really under pressure here. Munsell's going to be looking to get underneath him. Doesn't quite get the run that he needs. He'll have to settle it down, look for a big run coming out of the chicane, and throw down an Austin Greatorex on Terrian move. Can he set that one up?
Yeah, it looked like Dyer might have made an issue coming onto the backstretch and coming into the corner. That's why he lost that position to Stafford. And right now, same move that we just talked about. There it is, Munsell able to make that pass. Now, Scott, you've raced here at the Roval. Are there certain points of this track that you kind of aim for to make passes on drivers? As turn 1 seems to be that optimal place where drivers make moves and Bronson Stafford gets out of shape in front of Munsell.
Munsell really, after taking avoiding action, does so nicely. Dyer's going to grab the move back as well on a Stafford. And well, when you're in Munsell's position, anytime you get a freebie like that, that's exactly what you're searching for. But going back to your conversation here, Sam, yes, 100%. The corners that Munsell's going through, leading you back onto the Roval, not an overtaking opportunity, but they are a setup opportunity. The big places that you can make an overtake on this here Roval is down into this chicane under braking. That's one of the big ones. If somebody lets you by, they'll drift high on the oval section and allow you to go down the inside. We see that in many oval races as well. Now, that's a very deep move under braking for Munsell there, so he's pushing. He's really trying to get this thing done. You can make a move into this final chicane as well, but it's a lot harder. So things to keep in mind. Corner number 1, yep, definitely on. Then you get into the infield section, not really a move that's really on through there. Except for that big banking right-hander where you're going to break uphill. That's a great opportunity to sort of stick one up the inside if you get a great run off the first set of right-handers.
Yeah, it looks like just back and forth action between Dyer and Stafford as both of them have really worn down their tires and not looking great for either one of them as this is the closest battle on track. Everyone else seems to be pretty scattered from one another. It looks like Mike Tellier, who we haven't really talked about much here today in the 3, back battling for 8th place. He's starting to run down the 12 of Justin Belmonte at the moment. And Mike Tellier, second in points, tied with the most wins this season, 3 wins so far. Has only 1 stage win this season, but this 3 machine has been very good at the ovals. It's been the road courses where we've been seeing Tellier really struggle the most.
Look, and I mean, if what you're saying is right, tied for most wins, but no real stage wins, he's setting himself up for the long run. Do you see a scratch on that car? Because I don't. Every fender looks perfectly as when he first picked up the keys this afternoon and drove it out of the pit lane. Tell you what, he's really trying to give himself the best opportunity at the back end of the race. He's just looking to drive it clean, make no mistakes, let everybody else make those mistakes and have the race come to you. Justin Belmonte just in front of him looked to really have that long run pace towards the back end of the stage. He pushed himself slowly through the middle portions of the stage. Then he had that big spin, really reset himself. So if Tellier is going to have pace at the back end of this race and really have a chance to set himself up to grab a bag full of points and minimize those losses to the other drivers, well, this is probably a really good gauge of how he's doing.
And then in front of Belmonte, you got Brady Clark, who's been really just staying up front. Top 10 running so far for this 88 machine, a debut race for the PRM guys, and looking good for Brady Clark in 7th. And really, I mean, there's been a couple of issues that we've seen with this 88 machine, a little bit off here or there, but just like Tellier, I mean, not really a scratch on this 88 car, just keeping it clean as you can be. Might have gone off track a few times, but haven't really hit the wall, so doing the best to keep the aerodynamics.
Makes and just helps with tire management as well. I mean, you know, obviously a car that's a little bit bent up, not going to be able to grip the road anywhere near as well, might not apply its weight.
As up front in 3rd place, sorry to cut you off, but Evan Coleman went off course for going through that backstretch chicane, giving Justin Munsell 3rd place now, as that 51 machine went a little airborne for a second there, but able to land on all 4 and continue running. But that backstretch chicane has been deadly so far for a lot of these machines.
I tell you what, Munsell's just gotten past Terrian, so I'd say Terrian's had the exact same thing happen to him. He's made a mistake coming into a corner. Yeah, he has. Just coming through the back, the final chicane of the lap, just got very loose, very wide on the exit. And, well, Munsell was there, got the power down nice and cleanly, straight on by.
And now the question is, does Justin Munsell, after getting through all of this, really this traffic so far for himself, how much can he gain on Austin Greaterix? Because Greaterix right now, with an 8.2 second gap, I don't see Justin running down Austin, but certainly going to try to cut into that, and we'll see if Austin up front, if he's starting to get any closer to lap traffic. So far, not close to traffic at all. Green, really fresh air in front of him. No, nothing to worry about as we inch closer and closer to the end of stage 2. So far, still 10 cars left on the lead lap.
Yeah, so if you're sitting down in Justin Belmonte's shoes, actually Belmonte's made another mistake, and Mike Tellier's grabbed that position away from him. And Tyler Riggs slid on by, the beneficiary of our first lucky dog of the evening. So he's actually having a really good race for himself, just trying to, again, keep that car clean, keep it pointing in the right direction. That's exactly what you need to do. Yeah, you had a bad first stage, that's fine. Grab the lucky dog, get back on that lead lap, see if you can make something happen. Look, right now, you're testing the car. Okay, how hard can I push? Where can I send an overtake? Maybe lap traffic, they're a really good opportunity to say, yes, I can drift the car all the way out here. Yes, I can get it turned in a little bit sharper and get the run off a corner. So right now, that's what I'm looking for.
Issues. The 54 machine, 1 lap down, already lost the bumper once, got that bumper back after repairs, spins it, and now going to be on the apron as he's going to go down a 2nd lap down to Greaterix. And not the day that this 54 machine was wanting. Has been having a pretty good run these last couple of weeks, and just not as solid as he's been wanting to have.
Yeah, unfortunate for him tonight. I mean, the Roval is hard. I can just tell you that I believe it's Blaine Woodruff is around again in the infield section. It's going to be just passed in a few moments by Stiggs, I believe it was. Yeah.
That was going to be Stipes, and now he's got Aller, and I believe also that's going to be the 9 of Daly going to be behind him as well. I mean, Delaney, excuse me. as the drivers are trying to get by this absolutely riddled 77 machine that was involved in the first lap, first corner incident, just dumping his front end into the wall and kind of now being a block for these drivers at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, really, really good sort of traffic management there for Caden Tufts, realizing that, hey, Woodruff and Ollers are having a little bit of a battle, that they're both going to sort of drift up as he goes through the chicane, locks it up, nearly sends it over. Don't do that to your tires. You want to add heat to them. That's a good way to do it, and that's certainly not what you want to be doing about now. Why is he running so high up the track?
I mean, it just running wherever you feel comfortable, I guess. Another car that just spun around, it's going to be Schilling in the 69 machine as he's letting all the lead lap cars go on by, now getting back onto the track. You know, with lap traffic, they're trying to run as well as they can, but it is hurting them as Tyler Ricks now just had an issue for his 26 machine coming out of corner number 3. It's just overall, everyone on track starting to have the issues. And, you know, I talked about how this is going to be a handful for these drivers. And you're really starting to see it now as, you know, these tires, they've been worn down, been out there for 12 laps now. It just continues to get more and more brutal as we're about 6 laps away from us having the end of stage 2.
Yep. All right, drivers, keep your eyes on that stage. That's all your target is right now. For somebody like Riggs, 3 seconds up the road, he's got Belmonte. He can grab himself another spot, but he's got to make sure that he's not making any mistakes. Tires are going to be hot right now. Anytime you lock brakes, you're putting a lot of extra load through those front tires. You're putting heat into them. You're putting wear onto them. Not something you want to be doing. Whenever you grab that throttle, heat into the rear tires. You spin those things up, they are just going to load up with that excess heat. Let me tell you one thing. Melted rear tires, they don't provide so much grip.
No, and right now we're watching the battle for 3rd place as it's going to be Shane Terry and Evan Coleman within half a second of one another. Bronson Stafford waiting for these two to battle more so he can start to gain and get into this mix as well. But right now, I mean, this is hectic between these drivers as Evan Coleman into corner number 3 almost rear-ended and dumped Shane Terrian there as they continue to run away. Looks like Terrian a little bit faster through the infield section for this second sector really of this course.
Yeah, look, he's, I mean, you know, if you keep the car nice and settled, don't lose too much time through the infield, get back out on the Roval, make your time up there, whatever works for you. You're going to have sections of this track where you're not good. It's not like an oval. You can't just be good everywhere. You can't have the car turning the way you want it. It gets loose on corner exit. Well, that's not really the case. You got to turn the car to the right. The suspension's set up totally different to the way that it would normally be. The tire wear patterns, yeah, the right-hand side of the car is definitely going to wear out a lot more, but you're going to put a little bit of heat, a little bit of wear on that left-hand side. So anytime you're turning right, you really want to take advantage of that cool side of the tire. You'll have a lot more grip in those circumstances, but you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to spin the rear tires. You don't want to scrub the front tires. If the car doesn't turn when you start to turn it in, tire scrub. That's such a big way that you can wear out those front tires. I actually just watched Shane Terrian get really loose coming out of the second of the 2 right-handers through the infield section. So it's just, again, consistency. Manage yourself. Not only manage the car, manage yourself, man. Look at your expectations. Who am I racing around me? And right now, Shane Terrian and Evan Coleman, they're about to go at it.
Yeah, they really are about to really go at it right here. Also bringing in Bronson Stafford in the mix. About to be a 3-horse race for 3rd place. Also an update for our leaders. Justin Munsell, when he finally got to 2nd place, the gap was a little bit over 8 seconds. It's now down to 5.5 seconds. He's been slowly trimming away at this lead, but I also think to the fact that Gretorix might have made a major mistake based off that last lap being over 4 seconds off of what Munsell was running.
That's horrific. The fact that's not like these guys. Guess what? It's come down even more. This time, we know it's due to lap traffic. Munsell's about to run into that out on track at the moment. I believe that's actually Landon Ollers. So he's going to be trying to get out of the way, but he's been having a terrible night. It's not been an easy night for the 33 machine. He's really struggling for grip getting off the corners, and he's not made it easy for the leaders to get past him, not through wanting to, just through pure struggling for grip.
Yeah, and it's so difficult to really pick your place when you're going to make these passes, and that's going to help Gretorix able to pull away just by about another second or so after Munsell being woed up for a second there as we drop back for this battle for 3rd place, as now they're dealing with lap traffic themselves as they're all within that second of one another. This battle of Shane Terrian, Coleman, and Stafford, They are right there on top of one another.
That's it. Bronson Stafford's going to make his way on by Evan Coleman. So Coleman must have gotten a really poor run off of the infield, back out onto NASCAR 1 and 2. Now, can he make the dive bomb back? These guys need to work together. Look, if Coleman's going to let him by, and he's going to let him by now, he's really got to allow him those couple laps to really latch on a Terrian. And then again, make sure you set yourself up. Pick up those pieces, man. Somebody's going to make a mistake in these next couple of laps. Are you going to be there to take advantage, or are you going to drift too far back?
I mean, you keep on talking. You brought up the fact of the drivers during
that.
Oh, Ellers! Ooh. Almost. I think there was a slight contact between the 33 and the 61 there. But you brought up the fact that some of these drivers have been really running extremely high through NASCAR 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It's odd to see how high they've been running so far, and it's been losing them a lot of time, as Coleman was able to gain up on the 61 there. But looking through that chicane, I mean, I'm surprised Coleman was able to stay with Stafford with that little incident there.
That gave me nightmares. In that sort of a situation, if you're in Landon Ola's shoes, if I was in Landon Ola's shoes, look, I'm not in this battle, man. I'm just going to take to the escape road. I'm just going to skip the chicane, let those guys go through, stay out of their way. Couple things to think about, right? This is a league race. You're racing with these guys that are out on track all the time. You make some friends tonight here at the Roval, that can pay off weeks from now. You know, if you're out there and you're racing guys that are a couple laps ahead of you hard for positions that you're not even a part of, and you ruin their night, well, the next time that guy sees you out on track, bump and run may not necessarily just be a bump and run.
Brady Clark just spun it around, was running in that 6th place position, losing a ton of time. Now going to be dropping back to 8th place. Still plenty of space around him, as Belmonte 3 seconds back from the 88 machine, but now going to be about 7.3 seconds away from Mike Tellier, as everyone's starting to spread out and really avoid one another as we're coming and inching closer and closer to the white flag here. We are 2 laps away from having ourselves the end of stage 2, and right now everyone's kind of just running clean and running the way they have to, as Bronson Stafford now inching closer. Shane Terrian going to have to be dealing with some lap traffic, as Evan Coleman going to be on the back bumper of Woodruff there. And I think if anything, Coleman's in a stickier spot because he's in a much more difficult position trying to get by lap traffic.
Oh, look, he's managing it quite nicely, just keeping an eye on things. Look, you know, it's not easy. Those guys are struggling just as much as you. Do you think he got the pace? Sure, push yourself a little bit more right now, but he's clearly looked around. Look at that car. Again, another car in the field with not a scratch on it. He's really trying to set himself up for these last 20-25 laps. Look to grab that big bag of points at the end. Stage points. Sometimes you just got to let them go.
Top 10 are going to get the stage point. Top 10 are in the lead lap at the moment, as right now Tyler Riggs looking good not to be put a lap down, but a lot of machines are 2 laps down. Top 13th on back, at least 2 laps down. 2 cars are 1 lap down. It's going to be Robert Kenny and also Delaney, who's going to be 1 lap down, as they're trying to battle this out, as we are on the white flag of stage number 2. Austin Gretorix, all he has to do, just don't make a mistake. He's got a huge gap right now of 3.5 seconds, a little bit more than that at this moment over Justin Munsell, but it's the battle for 3rd place between teammates that are already locked into playoffs that we got to keep our eye on as we're getting closer to the end of this lap.
Now look, they're like you said it before, I think they're fighting for a little bit of that ego points at the moment, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, these two were the 2 that were battling it out for the win last week. I mean, they were duking it back and forth for the final 3 laps to see who was going to get the win at Indy. It was Shane Terrian that got it done there, and still battling hard here.
Yeah, look, again, Terrian played his cards right in that first stage. Yeah, look, I mean, he's lost out to Justin Munsell as things go on, but, you know, that was always going to happen with the pace differential between these 2 guys. 3 seconds a lap at the back end of this stage.
Bronson able to save that thing, just locked up his tires. Yellow flag is now out, as Austin Gretorix going to get another stage win for himself. And that's going to be a huge boost for a driver that this is his first debut race. Really came in just to be a road course ringer, and he's showing off at the moment. But now we get to see Justin Munsell gonna be reset. Both these drivers gonna be now right on top of one another if they both get a clean pit stop here.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, right now, are you going to grab 2 tires? Are you going to grab 4 tires? No, you're always grabbing 4 tires. Don't even think about that on the road course. Look, fuel, I think they'll both know where they're both at. Justin, he's worked himself a lot harder through that last stage. He's had to make a lot of positions up. Mistake coming off a pit lane, getting an EOL. Maybe he sped in the lane. Maybe that was why he got the EOL. Well, right now, he's got to reset. Take a break. Grab a breath. Suck it all back in. We got 25 laps to go. Got that caution in the air. Stage is over now. See if you can knock your teammate off and pick up the victory. That's going to be your target for sure.
And the driver that's going to begin the lucky dog here today is going to be Campbell Delaney in that 9 machine, able to get the lucky dog once we see drivers coming into the pits. As drivers are getting set to come into the pits, we're going to take a quick side-by-side commercial break. We'll be back for interviews. We're actually going to be talking to Justin Munsell and getting his point of view of that stage, him cutting through traffic and trying to run down grade rigs.
Since the VFW was founded, their mission was really to look out for the veterans community, to make sure that our nation upholds its promise to really care for the service member, the veteran, and his or her family. There are several ways that the VFW fights for veterans today. The top services include disability claims assistance, advocacy on Capitol Hill and with the Department of Veterans Affairs. We also offer scholarship opportunities, and then also volunteerism. For me personally, when I came back from Iraq, my life experience was drastically different from those around me, and the veterans of foreign wars really spoke to me. The reason I would encourage veterans who have served overseas today to join the VFW is because this is your organization. The VFW is for veterans. Every generation, a new generation of leaders steps up in the veterans of foreign wars and fights for the veterans community.
The Veterans of Foreign Wars. No one does more for veterans. For more information on the VFW, go to ahctv.com/sacrifice.
Most everyone involved in sim racing always wants that edge or even make the experience a little bit better, or in this case, a little bit more in-depth. Enter iRacing iFlag. iFlag is a simulation signal box with software designed by Peter Vostro. When you are behind the wheel in iRacing, your eyes are looking down the track or maybe even in the rear or side view mirrors. You may not notice or even hear when the caution comes out, when your car is damaged, or if you get black flagged, or even notice the car beside you. Yes, iFlag will point out the signs and tell you where that car is. It just makes iRacing more real and can help you become a better driver. We also offer iRacing iFlag Digital Pit Box. This small box is a great addition to any sim rig. With only 3.5 inches wide, it gives you all the information you need, including how many laps completed, how much fuel you will need to finish, what lap you need to pit on, laps so your fuel is empty, as well as weather and track conditions. It also switches when you come down pit road for more information, including what lap you're pitting under, tire wear, laps on tires, fuel average, and much, much more. To see more info, check us out today at iracingiflag.com.
And those are some of the sponsors that help us here today for FRN and bringing us all the great broadcasts for you to be watching. As we said, we're going to be bringing in Justin Munsell for a talk, as he'll be in front of Austin this time around and going to be the leader once we go green. Justin, it's Sam and Scott up in the booth. Got us?
I got you.
Well, you know, that first stage was going pretty well for you. You got a second place there, got a second place for this stage, but you didn't start off the way that you wanted to. First, let's start off. What happened while you were trying to get set up for the stage caution? Because it seemed like there was a slight issue coming into the pits.
Yeah, I was looking at my fuel. I knew I was going to make it for the stage end, but I didn't think I was going to be able to make it for the drive around to get to the pits. So the last second I decided to pit, but obviously the caution came out right as soon as that happened. I got a black flag and had to serve it. It wasn't exactly what I wanted to happen, but I didn't see the risk being that bad as long as I can get through the whole traffic.
You've made your way nice and cleanly all the way back up to second place. What did you do? What do you think you've done over your teammate here to put yourself in the lead?
I think it's just all about consistency. You definitely want to, you got to be careful. You got to mind your P's and Q's. You really can't overdrive this car or else it will go terribly. I think to beat Austin, I would have to definitely pick up the pace just a tad bit because he is a little bit faster than me on the long run. But as long as I can stay consistent, that's what matters.
Well, he's actually just dived down pit lane. He's looking to really get that tank full to the end. Do you think he can make it if he mega saves in this last stint?
That's actually a good point. Yeah, he actually probably could. So, well, we'll see how that works out for him.
Yeah, I was about to say we might have just jiffed you right there. It might have been talks of coming into the pits, and sorry if we did jiff you on that one. But Justin, best of luck. We know that lap traffic was an issue for that first stint, and you almost got caught up in a couple of other instances trying to get through traffic. What is the best way to try to get through this traffic, knowing that it's kind of been a really huge risk so far this race?
I feel like as long as you're patient, it kind of weeds itself out. Nobody here is really nailing the lines, so I figured if I stay behind somebody long enough, they'll either move out the way or they'll mess up either the curb hop or they'll drive off the turn. And it's really worked out that way. Luckily, I haven't had any major issues besides a few slower guys that didn't know how to get out of the way. But I mean, that's just kind of expected.
Well, Justin, we're going to let you go for now, but have a great rest of your race and good luck on saving if that's what we're going to be seeing that 13 do.
Thank you, sir.
And Scott, that we might have just messed Munsell up. I mean, I saw that 13 came in the pits, and you talked about that they might be able to make it here with that pit stop. I think you're right. This could possibly put Greaterix in the position where he might not have to pit here.
To be perfectly honest, having talked to Justin there, I don't think it even crossed his mind that he was going to make it on fuel if he went around a couple times and then he pit in to get that little bit of an extra load on fuel. Takes the jump there going through the chicane. Safety car will come back around. Well, we're going to go green this time by. Look, right now, his job is to get clean and clear, showing a clean pair of heels at the front. If he does get away enough, he can start saving. We mentioned last time out that Justin had to come all the way through the field. Does he push? Does he try and really put that margin over his teammate? His teammate's saving and trying to make his way through traffic? That's not easy.
Yeah, we saw Justin almost get involved with an accident. That's the same thing that we could be seeing Austin go through here, as Greaterix going to be starting back in 8th place as the drivers are getting set and ready to go here. It's race to the end. Green flag out in the air as we are coming to 22 laps to go. Cars shuffling everywhere behind in 4th place.
Yeah, that's it. Gotta find your way in. Look, traffic's coming. Someone we saw get an absolutely terrible restart there was Evan Coleman. He was alongside Justin and just could not. He missed the jump. Couldn't even get the car down in there. Wasn't able to find a spot in traffic. Loses 2 spots before he gets into the chicane.
Yeah, and right now, Austin's going to be stuck with having cars in front of him. But right now, Dyer able to get by Belmonte. That was kind of being an issue at the moment there for a second. But right now, I'm looking at Greaterix. He's kind of stuck behind lap traffic at the moment. And this is a huge issue for himself because he's stuck behind cars that are all the way back here that really seemed to not be an issue at the start of the race. But he's got to get by this traffic pretty quick here. Or this actually could be helping him in a way is now, we talked about Mike Tellier. He looked like he had a clean car. He's now on the back bumper of Shane Terrian for 2nd place.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, look right after his car. He's done everything he needs to, not pushing. Yeah, look, he missed out on a couple stage points. Let that go. That's not what you're after here. Evans really trying to make his way back through. And again, great recognition from Mike. He's just going, you know what? Again, I'm not going to fight this. Evan's going to make a mistake later on. I'm making friends here. If I'm in Mike's spot and I'm fighting for his championship, right now, I'm going to give everyone as much space as they need. They're faster than me. Fine, let him go. Like you said, he's not quick here. That's fine. He's recognized that. He's recognized everything he needs to do, which is not light up those rear tires. Look, he's going to let a couple cars go again here, which is...
I mean,
actually come up chat in game there. And he
Dyer
said, thank you for not hitting.
Oh, Bronson and Tellier make contact as they're coming in front. Traffic coming their way. Brady Clark going to be able to get through. It's, oh my goodness. Bronson almost took out Clark there. As now we're going to see Greaterix able to get by Tellier there. But man, carnage. As now Stafford, his tires are so lit up that he's struggling now to get around these corners.
Yeah, and the other one that this really plays into the favor of, Austin
Bronson's
Greaterix.
going back around. He's blocking traffic. As, oh boy. This is, I mean, that's what lighting up those tires. It's going to do that. You really cannot slow down without just locking them up and wanting your back end to spin out like that.
Well, a little bit of bumping and grinding in there. And, well, we mentioned it. Austin's thrown his hat in the ring. He said, look, I'm going to go this entire stage. I'm not going to go down pit lane. His gap to the leader right now, it's 20 seconds. He's nearly a pit stop behind already, and he's got a fuel save. You know what else is the crucial factor? If Justin comes down pit lane, he's grabbing fresh tires. That's huge advantage at the back end of the race. When Austin's going to be running 20s, he's going to be able to do 117s, really push that thing hard. He's going to be making up so much time at the back end of the race. And this whole time, Austin's going to be conserving. You know what? Maybe Justin made the right call. Maybe we didn't throw a little bit of caution to the wind by bringing him up into the box. But it's definitely spiced this race up.
And right now, Evan Coleman battling for second place, going to be right on the back bumper of Shane Terrian.
I like this call. Sorry, I'm.
Into the pits.
Cut in here. Robert F. Kennedy's dived to the pits. He's recognized I'm not going to do so well in traffic. I only need 1 or 2 laps worth of fuel. I'm going to get myself out of running through on all these other guys. You know what Clean Air allows you to do? Clean Air really allows you to run your own line, your own pace. It means you're not checking up for the guy in front of you who has a different braking marker, a different way around the corners. That means you're going to undercut him like crazy. He's going to come out and be so much stronger than these guys. I'd expect Robert to grab 5-6 spots out of this pit stop.
I mean, you're going to be asking for a lot. Also hoping that cars don't make too many mistakes. As we move right back up to right now, that battle for second place, it's kind of dwindled away. Greaterix, though, on the back bumper of the 88 of Clark, as well as Tyler Riggs. This could be up to 7th place for this 13 machine, who's going to be trying to make that outside line work, trying to carry that momentum into the straightaway. As there comes the 13 car, he thinks he's inside. He's there for the 88 car. Almost make contact, and clear for 8th place is Austin Greaterix.
I just jumped on board with Austin Greaterix. I'm really trying to listen for this fuel saving. What's his strategy? What's his plan? He's out of the throttle a lot coming into this infield section right here, but still trying to be aggressive. Shows his nose. Again, he's just playing a mind games with the cars around him as he gets by Tyler Riggs. Tyler Riggs has a really bad couple of corners, but just show the nose here. I'm looking at it coming. You've got to make space for me. You know, you can't just really...
I mean, making the pit now, what like Kenny just did, I mean, that's helping this 34 machine because everyone was so jam-packed. You now are going to have cars not as scattered. But if Justin has to come in the pits for Munsell, he is going to be around a field of cars that are scattered everywhere. Is there really going to be space for him to be running down Greaterix if Austin saved enough fuel?
Oh, look, he's nearly got the gap he needs, to be perfectly honest with you. It's close. It's real close right now. So for me, in Munsell's shoes, I'm going 5 laps right now, and then I'm diving down the lane. I want to get out. I want to see what that margin is. What have I got to do to win this race? I need to know, okay, Greaterix is 5 seconds up the road to me. No problem. I've got tires right now. I'm going to go hunt him. If he's going to have to come back down the lane, well, it's not really a question. But Greaterix is going to save. I'm not hearing a lot of saving, to be perfectly honest with you. So I think Greaterix is going to have to come through the lane as well.
Might be thinking, hey, I'm also, I mean, what Greaterix might be thinking is, hey, if I pit now, I can go a little bit further than what Munsell's going to do, so I can have at least another lap extra fresher tires. Then I can try to run down that 98 machine. That could be another factor that he's looking into of maybe going a lap past what Munsell's thinking about pitting, but the gap is so massive that you're not going to be gaining as much as you could if you're going to be trying that strategy out. With how big the gap is, you've got to think that the strategy is to wait until you stay out there as long as you can. It's going to be a bold strategy for sure, dropping back now for this battle here for 10th place. As right now, Bronson Stafford going to be within striking distance as Greatrex able to make that pass on the 9 car. But right now, Tyler Riggs
He's
under
not saving.
fire.
He's not saving. Greatrex is not saving. He's dead in the water. Unless he's planning on saving at the back end of this stint, there's no way he makes it home from here. He's going to make a stop, which means these are all passes for position. You know, so now he's going to go 5 seconds up the road to run down Belmonte. I think he's in trouble here, Greatrex. I think he's thrown away a win.
And this was a nerve-wracking spot. Pass for second place. Evan Coleman has made that pass going into corner number 1. As that 51 machine trying to go for a podium finish here for Evan Coleman and that CEM Motorsports team. Dyer is going to be 8 seconds back in 4th place. Another driver for CEM. Looking back at that battle that once was going on with Bronson Stafford, able to get by Tyler Riggs. You talked about Greatrex. He was 5 seconds back from Belmonte, and Terrian goes around.
Terrian's around, coming. He's just got loose coming through the corners that take you back out onto the oval section. So he's going to lose a little bit of time here. He's going to manage to pick things up. Going to be still ahead of Matt Dyer, but that tire temperature, I think he might be vulnerable for a couple laps here to Dyer. Dyer's going to make a move now.
It's coming into the pits. It's going to be Brady Clark and that 88 machine. Got to be on the lead lap for now, and now it's going to have those fresher tires. Like you said, about 5 laps. Come back in the pits for some of these drivers. Make sure you're packed full of fuel and try to get that advantage. As right now, Dyer going to be about 3-4 seconds back from Terrian. Terrian's got to spin out again if Dyer's going to make another move. But right now, Terrian's been running about a second, almost a second and a half faster than that 2 machine.
Not going to have any more information on that until the next lap, because remember that tire load, you know, so Dyer's brought it, he's come down maybe another half to 3/4 of a second on him, so he's catching, but you know, not enough. Yeah, you're right. Terrian's safe for now.
Yeah, right now Bronson Stafford past Tyler Riggs, now going to be on the back bumper of the 3 and the 9. Right now, a battle for 7th place. This is a little bit of contact from the 3 and the 9 in front of the 61.
That's not good. Come on, settle it down, boys. Now it's going to be Stafford that tries to send it down the inside of Delaney. That's going to hamper them both heading down the straightaway. Stafford gets it done nicely. Now he sets his eyes on the 3.
Yeah, and remember, Stafford was the driver that spun around, and he is continuously having issues. Delaney able to save it there. What a save by the 9 machine. In the wall, though.
Right now, if I was in Rocket League, what a save in the chat all day.
Oh, yeah, completely. And now Belmonte, we talked about how he had such a 5-second gap on Greatrex. It's gone. He's been past Greatrex up to 5th place. And the gap to the leader, 25 seconds. It is still growing as Justin Munsell continues to just take off like a rocket ship because there's no traffic just yet. He just has to keep pushing and being as aggressive as possible on these times.
I tell you what, by the look of things, Munsell might have just caught some traffic right about now. For him, you're catching traffic. Get into the lane. Get clear of it. Well, there's only one other car that he's got to get around, and then there's a sort of a big gap up to Stipe, and then from Stipe, there's another big gap right through to, I believe that's, is that Causey? It might be Causey.
I believe that is Causey's one.
No, it's actually Brady Clark that's ahead of Stipe. So, look, there's a big gap there. He really wants to leverage that. Oh, no, is that Belmonte around again?
I believe it is. Justin Belmonte also collecting another car. I believe that was Allers. As we're going to take a quick FRN replay to see what exactly happened between these 2 drivers, because that's a multiple car incident there. And it looks like Allers was the initial incident, and Belmonte nowhere to go as that 33 machine gets out of shape, comes down, 12 car, nowhere to go. You hate an incident like that.
Oh, and then they just try and, I mean, Belmonte makes the right move there. Olas is having a horrid night. I mean, he's trying to do what he can. He's just clearly just not got no grip underneath the rear end of that car. But look, maybe take a look in the rearview mirror, look what's around you. But I tell you what, the damage to Belmonte, it's going to be a long race to the end for him.
It's going to be terrible for him. Brady Clark now on the back bumper of Robert Kenny. Kenny already didn't have a nose. First lap incident that he was a part of with Tom Bourne and Bronson Stafford took out their chances. Just want to give an update on cars that are on the back half and have DNF from this race. Caden Tufts is officially out of this. Tom Bourne and Derek Schilling have DNF'd officially out of this race. Garrett Powell and Bob Carroll did not even start this race, as both of them we're going to be really looking for at least a start. Garrett Powell, one of our favorites, coming into this race, had steering wheel issues and did not help him as Brady Clark's going to spin Rubber Kenny around.
Oh no, that's not what we want to be seeing, guys. Settle it down. Come on, you gotta get back in there, man. Give yourself the best chance to really get back through that field. I think Clark's been through the lane as well, so these are some of the guys that have made their pit stop already. Everyone else in front of them hasn't made their stop. I tell you what, talking about pit stops, this is probably the crucial one. Munsel's in the lane.
Justin Munsell, our leader, going to be coming in, and the question is, where is he going to be coming out of the pits? Is Robert Kenny, not Robert Kenny, that's going to be Rodriguez that's just chilling out in the grass. And this 48 machine just having fun, but you got to be careful with other cars out there. As right now, Munsell has dropped back to third, fourth place. Greaterix is coming.
That's it. I'm not sure if he's going to get by. Greaterix is actually by, so Munsell's just out of the lane right now. Greaterix is just heading around in turn 3 and 4, so it's only a little bit over him. Look, if Greaterix is going to make it in terms of fuel, he's right there. Munsell knows what the ask is. So, look, he's going to have the blinders on, focus on what's in front of him. There's next and low lap traffic for a reasonable stretch of time. So, hey, he's got the best opportunity. He's given himself all the tools he needs to win the race. And, if Greaterix is going to have to make another stop, it's not even a question. Munsell's got it hands down.
It was 7.5 seconds. It's already gone down to 7.3. Justin Munsell has to hit his markers and stay as clean as possible for these final 13 laps. Evan Coleman, though, your leader at the moment, and no one really thinks that our top 3 can make it to the end. Greaterix, who came in a lap before we went green again, giving himself the best opportunity right now. We talked about that Dyer needed Shane Terrian to make another mistake. It happened. Dyer right now within at 1.1 seconds, but Greaterix on their back bumper as well as second through fourth, all on top of one another within a second.
That's it. You know who else this continues to play into? This is really, really good for Munsell, because I tell you what, if Greaterix is going to make his way by, he just gets by Matt Dyer right now. So that's important. Greaterix doesn't get held up by him. Bronson Stafford now in the lane. Oh, look. It's chaos o'clock, and the drivers are certainly trying to keep us busy.
Oh, yeah, they are going to be keeping us as busy as possible. As right now, that gap between Dyer and Munsell is now down to 4.2 seconds. As it just continues to cut away that gap that Greaterix had. He has to go into save mode. And also, you look at what this 98 machine is doing. He's putting down some of his fastest laps. And with the extra grip that he's got with fresh tires, it's allowing him just to take off.
I tell you what, some of his fastest laps? No. Fastest lap of the race right now is what he's looking at. Purple, 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 sectors 1, 2, and 3. He's only got one more sector in the lap. We're about to see the fastest lap of the race, provided nothing happens ahead of him. And look, he is hunting down Matt Dyer. That gap is just evaporating. Let's have a look at what Greaterix is happening as well. He's now under 3 seconds. This is it. This is the race right here, ladies and gents.
That little blip, that's Matt Dyer. And you can just see the momentum and the closing rate here for this 98 machine. He's right there in just a couple of corners. That's incredible to see. It's less than a half a second into corner number 1. We might be seeing the pass right here. Dyer's got to keep his car clean, as it's going to be Munsell up to 4th place. Greaterix only has a less than 2.5 second gap between himself and Justin Munsell, that we know Munsell is good to the end, but can everyone else make it?
Well, who knows? Coleman, look, it's possible. It's absolutely possible. The one that's given himself the best chance of making it home, Austin Greaterix. We mentioned it, but he's still... It's so difficult. As a race driver, you want to fight. You want to really push yourself. And I tell you what, the guy he's fighting right now, Shane Terrian. This is all in Munsell's favor. We got a race on our hands.
Yeah, we find ourselves Justin Munsell. He's within a second. He's about to be within a half a second or even closer than that, because he could just carry so much more speed through the corners with this grip. As Shane Terrian goes a little bit wide, Greaterix has to get shuffled, and just like that, Justin Munsell cuts through and gets by Austin Greaterix. And now Justin Munsell looking like the favorite right now, as he's right on the back bumper of the 83 of Shane Terrian. And just like that, Justin Munsell up to 2nd place, as he's going to be trying to run down Evan Coleman. Coleman into the pits. It's Justin Munsell to the lead as Aller gets in the way. Here comes Greaterix, who knows he needs to start pushing now.
Yeah, that's it. But Greater X, I mean, if he's going to do it, he's just going to hang on here. He's not trying to push. He really wants Justin Munsell to be over-aggressive with his car. Right now, Munsell's got the grip advantage. Give it 5 laps. Give it 5 laps. Then Austin Greater X is going to be right there as well. The tires, they don't fall off after 5 laps. That's right about where they sort of settle in. That's really going to be a long-term pace. I tell you what, Greater X is doing a great job. 122 on that last lap with all the traffic that they were fighting themselves through. Munsell, 119, so he made 3 seconds up on that last lap. Those tires falling away already. This race ain't over. It's not over by a long shot. I'm sure Munsell grabbed an excess of fuel. Right now, the one thing you don't want to have to be worrying about in his shoes is how much fuel do I need to save. You don't want to save any fuel. You need to push, push, push.
Yeah, Munsell now up to 1.7 seconds is the gap as they continue to push on. Drivers that have come into the pits, Evan Coleman has come in, Shane Tarian, as well as Bronson Stafford has come in. Just recently was going to be Justin Belmonte, as well as Delaney is going to be coming into the pits, and Stipe, as those drivers are going to be running as well as they can. Stipe's going to be the only car 1 lap down as we continue to look at the gaps that are around our leader. Right now, Belmonte is going to be trying his best, but looking like he'll now be going a lap down as he had to come back into the pits for that 12 machine. As now Delaney's now going to be under fire, and we talked about this during the commercial break.
Greater X and Dyer are both in the lane.
And you know, Greater X had to come in.
Yeah, he just couldn't save it. I mean, he was close. He could have. But,
I mean, he was close, but the net loss was, I mean, by him trying to make that pit stop, I think he thought maybe he would be gaining more time. But with the fact that he was being held up by so much lap traffic at the start of that restart, that's why this whole entire strategy went up in smoke, really.
Losing. Mike Tellier hasn't pit yet, so you can sort of just cross him out. Greater X is going to get by Terrian. He's going to get by Dyer. He's going to get past Coleman. I tell you what, Dyer pit on the same time as Greater X did. He's out in front of Greater X. I was sure that Greater X made his way around Dyer on the track. He's going to have to do that all over again.
Well, Dyer just went for fuel. He didn't go for tires. That's the main issue, as well as Coleman only went for fuel. So that's going to be two drivers that right now Greater X doesn't have to worry about. That's another driver that's going to be going off the road. I believe that was Hall that went off the road there. More drivers having more and more issues as Dyer and Terrian continue to battle on. Yeah, I mean, Greater X, he's most likely going to find himself back up front and be battling for at least a second place finish here. But it's not looking good for him to get the win. That gap just too big right now with not enough laps to be seen.
Look, I mean, who knows? Who knows? We got 7 laps to decide a winner here. And I mean, Justin Munsell, he's done the job. He's 20 seconds clear, and that gap's going to continue to grow. You said no tires, fuel only was just a splash. All he needed to get home. Coleman could be on the strategy of the night. Terrian has grabbed tires, but he's got 9 seconds to make up. He was 3 seconds a lap faster on that last lap. Is he in traffic? Let's take a look. No, he's got a clear bit of traffic track in front of him. Causy's the next car. Causy will get right out of his way. Then it's Coleman, and then up in front of Coleman is Stipe. So there's not a lot of traffic on their part of the circuit. They're not going to be hitting a lot of traffic. There's not going to be a huge amount of issues in these closing laps. Terrian could find himself in second position in, 7-8 laps time.
I mean, he could be finding himself, yes, in second, but he's got Austin Greater X right behind him. I think right now Terrian's thinking maybe a third place finish would be a positive compared to the way that we've been seeing Munsell and Greater X being over a second to 2 seconds faster than the rest of the field at almost all times. An update for a driver that was on the lead lap and might have found some internet issues and woes. Tyler Riggs, running around 7th place at the time, is hit internet issues and right now has gone a lap down and has not reconnected, and it is not looking like he's going to be connecting back into this thing as Greater X less than a second, less than half second. He is right there on Shane Terrian's bumper, and right now Shane Terrian has really no way to defend this 13 machine.
I mean, he's got fresh-ish tires, but not at the same pace that Greater X. Greater X needs to not get held up here. In terms of Terrian's race, Terrian, all right, fine. He's there. Let him go. If you really want to get on the back end of Coleman, you really want to get by Coleman, you've got the option. He's taken another 3 seconds out of Coleman there. So, I mean, this isn't decided. Second, third, we've got 6-7 laps.
There's still 7 laps to go so far until Munsell crosses the line. Then we'll have 6 to go. But yeah, no, it's going to be close for the second place battle for sure. And honestly, second through third, it could be shuffling up here very quickly. But right now, it looks like Brady Clark kind of making an issue. 3 wide action as Brady Clark goes onto the apron. And now going to be seeing our drivers pulling away as side by side for third place. Greater Ricks and Shane Terrian. Terrian's not letting off, but right there, I mean, Terrian did not have the optimal entry point, so had to just back out of there.
I mean, like I said, I think Terrian's letting him go there. Terrian's best opportunity to grab himself a podium position right now is to let Greater X get onto the rear end of Coleman, let him fight him for a couple corners, let him really get slowed down. You just really want to tie yourself on there. Look, if he's wide coming off a corner and you get a better run, you need to be there to make something happen. So don't fight Greater X. Let him get there and then go along with him.
6 laps to go here at the Roval as Justin Munsell, he's been here the last couple of weeks, has come up short. He has shown pace to be winning one of these races, has not been able to get it done. But this is going to be a very long 5.5 laps for this 98 machine, who is really right now going to be inching closer and closer to lap traffic. But right now, it's clean, it's green, it's more of hit your marks and make sure you stay out of trouble as much as you can, as there's a lot of space to work with before you get up to this lap traffic in front of you.
Tell you what, I just saw Belmonte round again there as well. Austin Greater X, he's coming, man. It's half a second out of Coleman. Shane Terrian, 2.5 back from Greater X. So it's not over. There's no guarantee that Terrian can get on the back of Coleman. He's going to have to drive the couple laps of his life. Coleman gets real loose coming out of the backstretch chicane. Greater X is all over him.
5 laps to go, and now the gap that was once 34 seconds between Greater X and Munsell, it is now only 28.7 seconds, and it's about to be a little bit less than 28.7. It's going to be less than 28.5 seconds. Austin Greater X, based off the pace, he's running about 2 seconds faster, but that means he's going to be about 10 seconds off of what we've been seeing Munsell been running. And we know that the tires are going to equal out here probably in the next about 4 laps or so. It's not looking good for this 13 machine just to try to run down Munsell, but he certainly is going to put in his best effort here at the end of this stint.
Yeah, look, I mean, you know, he pitted, he threw a question mark in the strategy. I think he's definitely, by what's happened out on track in this last stage, he's thrown away what looked like was going to be a victory here for Austin Greater X. So, pit lane strategy, Coleman and Terrian are fighting.
Side by side, Terrian going to be trying that outside groove, not going to be able to make it done. Coleman going to be staying on the inside, trying to hold off this 83 machine who's going to outbrake one another. Coleman's going to be there. Terrian, though, going to be trying to go for the better exit out of the chicane, and here comes that 83 on the inside. Who's going to go for the apron, possibly? Terrian first on to the racing surface, though.
That's it. Look, I mean, Terrian has got the better tires here. It's all in his court. He's got to make sure he gets it done cleanly. I'm sure he doesn't want to let race control intervene.
No, not at all. I mean, you're trying to set up for this corner. A little bit of contact there between the 51 and the 83. But, I mean, you can carry so much more momentum. The closing rate into these corners is what's going to hurt Terrian the most, because you can really dig a lot deeper with these fresher tires, and you can utilize your brake a little bit more just because you're not going to be slipping and sliding as much as you would with other tires as the driver's going to get by. That's Tyler Riggs, who is heavily damaged in that 26 machine and has came back into the server officially 3 laps down after being knocked out for a bit. His battle for third place continues to work on as it's 4 laps to go. And this is really the closest battle on track. Evan Coleman into the wall hard there.
Coleman was in hard, but I'm sure Terrian scraped it there. He left a few of those stripes on the wall.
Terrian onto the apron. He's trying to figure out where to gain speed. And right there, I mean, is the apron even viable here, or are you just hurting your tires even more?
Look, I mean, if you're desperate, if you really want to get him, if you want to get the spotter to come over and say, hey, look, you got a car below you, you know, it's an option. He's got the option right now. He needs to either outbrake him or, alternatively, set yourself up for a corner exit. Give yourself that huge run, probably out of the first and second right-handers.
Here it
He's
comes.
got an option here.
Still side by side, Shane Terrian, Evan Coleman, side by side still. Coleman's going to go high.
A
Crossover
rubber,
move by
baby.
the 83.
That's it. That's well done. I mean, the 51 was always going to struggle for exit pace there. That's set up perfectly. That's what we were talking about. Terrian just needed to be patient. He set him up. Coleman unhappy with it. He's lost himself a third place here, but great job, Terrian.
Yeah, I mean, that was a picture-perfect crossover move. 3 laps to go. Shane Terrian with these fresher tires should be able to move away from Coleman. And looking at the rest of the board where tires and drivers lie, I mean, we look pretty set at the moment, but looking at our track map and trying to figure out where our leader is and where lap traffic is, our leader looks like he still has plenty of space to work with. Really no lap traffic to worry about for a while here.
I was just having a quick look at here, Sam, is that Stafford took tires down in 6th place, but Dyer didn't. And I mean, he's closing now. There's potential there that Stafford could get on the rear end of Dyer.
Yeah, and this is something that we've seen CEM Motorsports of Evan Coleman and Matt Dyer. Both of them have done strategies where they think just going with fuel might help us out, but tires have already been noticeably more important to have. If you come into the pits, if you get tires, you can really gain that time back if you've been hitting your marks. Right now, yeah, we'll continue to keep our eye out on that battle. But I mean, Coleman was keeping it close with Terrian for a second there, but I believe he might have made a mistake that cost him a lot of time.
Big one. He locked his brakes up coming into the final chicane, and he was actually in the voice comms in game saying, watch out, look, I've got no brakes. Look, I'm going to lock them up. I'm going to go to the escape road here. He was trying to make sure. Oh, I think that big slap on the wall actually hurt his steering.
Yeah, this is not looking good for the 51 machine. Coleman is just going to be trying to limp this thing around, and you might be seeing Dyer show up here shortly if Coleman keeps on running the way he has been.
And whose hands does that play into? Stafford's, because Dyer is going to make his way around Coleman without losing any time. You can look, even if he's not making time right now, Coleman has got to make sure that if his teammate's there, he lets the teammate through. If Stafford gets caught up to him, he needs to be just a big old brick in the way. But this is the last lap.
White flag in the air. Justin Munsell with a 25-second gap over Austin Gregerix. I mean, a solid running for this 98 machine who might not have had the best stage 2, had to battle it through traffic. Austin Gregerix had to do a similar thing and just was not able to make the move so far, but still half a lap to go. Anything could happen right now. I mean, this is not a cakewalk right now for Justin Munsell. He's still got a couple more chicanes to go.
That's it. I mean, you can still make a mistake that throws your race away, but 25 seconds? You're backing everything up. You ain't going to risk anything there. Gregerix has got traffic. Again, that gap that I want to look at is Coleman to Dyer to Stafford. It's closed, but not by enough.
Yeah, it's still about 5 seconds to 6 seconds between all 3 drivers, and it's a lot of time that right now Dyer's kind of in no man's land because no one's really close. But Justin Munsell through the last couple of chicanes here at the final road course of the season. Justin Munsell signs with Luminary and gets a win here for that 98 machine. A great way to cap off how this road courses have been this season. There's now just ovals from here on out. So the advantage that we just saw from Gregerix and Munsell, it's now gone. It's all about ovals from here on out, but a great run for himself. And now Gregerix is going to be coming around the final chicane. He tried his best to run down that 98 machine, just did not have enough time. And really a different strategy would have worked out greater for that 13 machine. Shane Terrian now looking good for him to be coming across the line here as these gaps are so large. You're really able to see who's going to be making a mistake and who's not. Terrian going to be able to get that 3rd place position. Coleman able to survive even with his smacks with the wall, and Dyer looking good to be getting a 5th place finish as well.
Yep, Stafford's right there as well. Cause look, it's not easy. It is not easy by any stretch of the imagination to be able to do anything. So, look, credit to everyone out there tonight. It's not easy. Munsell, Gregerix, great job. Both of them, however, made mistakes in terms of pit lane strategy. Speeding in pit lane. Oh, sorry, no, not speeding in pit lanes. Entering a closed pits really ruined the early stages of Munsell's race. For me, I wonder what happened to Gregerix there. There was no need for him to go down the lane another time right there. He's potentially thrown away a victory tonight. So do they learn from this the next time out?
That's something that we're going to have to bring up for sure during interviews, because we'll be talking to our top 3 here shortly. It looks like Munsell get a little bit of a tap there from Robert Kenny, a teammate of his, as Munsell getting ready to start burning it down. But yeah, no, coming in, I think in Greatrix's eyes, he was going to be able to make it if he was able to save. But with how much he was being held up by lap traffic, he was, like we stated, he was down over 20 seconds at one point, and that's what really hurt him as this 98 machine starts to burn it down. Well, you're going to take a quick look here at our final results here of this race. It was an amazing race for most of these drivers. Evan Cole, Matt Dyer, Bronson Stafford, Brady Clark, Mike Tellier, Daly. I mean, really, a lot of these drivers going crazy. Kenny going to get a top 10 finish. And then we go to the second row. A lot of these cars just did not have the runs that they wanted. Belmonte, Causey, Stipe, Riggs, Durand, Hardison, Aller, Hall, Woodruff, and Matthew Rodriguez. And then these are the cars that DNF'd from this race. Scott, it was a wild race here. We honestly didn't know. We knew that who our top 2 drivers were coming into this race just based off practice and just because of how we saw qualifying go, but we really did not know where the rest of this field was going to be finishing up at.
And I mean, from the guys that are out there tonight, they're out there circulating, you've really got to say that I think Mike Tellier, had the best attitude tonight. He looked at it, he said, look, I've got a championship here on the line. I got to keep this thing pointing in the right direction. My goal is to stay on the lead lap. If I'm on the lead lap, anything can happen. I can win it. Well, look, winning it's probably a little bit out of the picture, but I can still finish in that top 10. I can still grab a big bag of points, and that is going to really help me get into those playoffs. He's done everything he needs to do for his championship hopes tonight, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Tellier going for the regular season championship at the moment. With the fact that we did not see Garrett Powell come out onto the track due to steering wheel issues on his end, this could be giving Mike Tellier the points lead going into next week. And next week, we're going to be going to Auto Club. That's going to be very draft heavy. Cars are going to be right on top of one another. It's going to be a blast to watch. As the drivers are here and ready for interviews, we're going to be bringing in Shane Terrian to get his thoughts on how this race went. Shane, it's Sam and Scott. You got us?
I got you.
Well, this race was kind of hectic at times. You saw some drivers having their issues. You saw you having a couple of spills as well. But from your point of view, how was this race overall?
Survival? Because the lap cars were wild. Like, ridiculous. I don't want to cause any hate, but at that point, get off the track. But, I mean, it did make it entertaining, but it was. I haven't run this configuration until today, so I didn't even know what to expect. So,
I mean, like always, impressive to hear that. I think there's other courses where we heard you say that as well, of just hopping in and having a podium finish. But speaking of lap traffic, I mean, we saw that was an issue. That was something we brought up for stage 1 and 2. We weren't sure how much of a factor it was going to be here for the rest of this race. We saw you racing with Evan the hardest, though, at the end of this race. How was that battle from your side?
it was good. It was clean. I just wanted 3rd place to get back-to-back 1, 2, 3 for Luminary, so it paid off. I don't know why Evan didn't take tires. I mean, he was like 6 seconds ahead of me when we pit, and I was catching him on the same tires before that. So I was shocked that he didn't take tires. I was for sure going to catch him. I did. So that took me by surprise. But we had a fun battle. It was clean. It was a little bumping, but I mean, I like racing with Evan, but it was fun.
I mean, sorry, Scott here. He did gain 9 seconds in that stop. Never crossed your mind that. Do you think that you could have, if you really thought about it, made it on fuel in that last stage there?
If I would have pit coming to 1 to go and then just saved, probably. I think that's what Austin tried to do, but then he was too far behind that he didn't even bother trying to save. So then he ended up taking tires, finishing 2nd. But yeah, it would have been really, really, really close. But I think he would have lost too much time to even get any positions.
Well, Shane, that's the end of our road courses here for the season. It's now just going to be ovals from here on out. Does this make you feel a lot more comfortable knowing that the road courses are out of the way and you can just focus on ovals?
Yes. I'm I hate road courses. The fact that I have 2 podium finishes in the road courses is wild. But yeah, I'm excited just to go back to oval racing.
Well, Shane, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I'm gonna shout out Luminary guys. I mean Austin for coming in, helping with the setup this week. And then of course Justin just winning. I mean I saw him and Austin, battling it out, but him winning by 25 seconds was wild. So congrats to him. Uh, Thanks to the league owners for letting us race, and then you guys for broadcasting. Hope it was as fun as we could make it.
Well, that's Shane Tarian in the 83 machine getting a third place finish here at the Roval. And good luck, Shane, next week at Auto Club.
Thank you.
And now we're going to be bringing in our second place finisher, Austin Gridricks. Austin, it's Sam and Scott up in the booth. You got us?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Well, we saw you win stage 1 and 2, and then coming to the rest of the race, we saw that you went for the different strategy. What was going through your mind, being that car, one of the last cars coming into the pits right before we went green?
Well, I knew it'd be close, and I was happy to obviously take the risk, but I didn't expect it to take so long to get through the people in front of me, and that just ruined the whole strategy in the end. I was having to push that hard that I couldn't save as much as I wanted.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Justin have to cut through the field, and then we saw you trying to go through it. It just seemed like the traffic was a lot more dense for your side of things. You had a lot more of lap cars you had to deal with than what Justin did in stage 2. Was there anything else you could have done to try to get by that traffic? Were you trying to communicate to them, hey, I'm the faster car, can you get out of my way as quick as possible?
Not really. Obviously, it was a mix between people that was actually racing on the lead lap and lap traffic. There was a few lap cars that didn't get out of the way and didn't want to move, and that kind of hindered me a little. But everyone's still running their own race at the end of the day, aren't they? So try and be fair. I'm only here, only come to do this race mainly because of it being the road course. So all these people are in championships. I don't want to ruin their races.
Austin, Scott here as well, mate. Interesting option to go on that last one and try and go for the strategy. What triggered that for you?
On the end of the first stage, I was still nearly a lap. Obviously, you see Justin pit as stage come. I was still a lap to the good, and I knew it'd be close if I could do it for the end of the second stage, because it'd only be 21. I think 21, maybe 22 laps once the stage finished to the end. So I knew it'd be close, but I just didn't anticipate to be. I couldn't save as much fuel as I wanted, having to try and get through that traffic. That's what ruined it. I think if I didn't have to save, it would have been a bit different story. I think Justin still would have had it, but it'd have been a lot closer.
Yeah, I mean, Austin, it's a pleasure to always see you racing out here at these road courses. Hey, Austin, you there?
Yes, I'm back with you. I lost you then for a second.
It's totally fine. The floor is yours for any shout outs there, bud.
Well, first I'd like to thank out the league themselves. They let me join today, and I've had a blast doing it. I'd like to thank you guys for the broadcast, the whole of FRN, my team, Luminary. They help me out a lot when I do the oval racing with them. So I've come in, tried helping them with this, and then I just want to give a shout out. Well done to Justin, and well done for Shane for getting on the podium, and Justin for the win.
Well, that's awesome. Great in the 13 machine doing a one-off here for the Clutch Drop Cup Series, and a great showing for getting a second place finish. Austin, have a great rest of your night there, man.
Thank you. Good night.
And we now are going to be listening to our race winner, Justin Munsell. We got to talk to him at stage 2. Let's get his thoughts now. Justin, it's Sam and Scott. You got us?
I do. How's it going, guys?
Well, we went into stage 2 talking to you. We saw what Austin's idea was. I mean, it worked out great on your side just because Austin couldn't get through traffic as well as you did the last stage. How was it, though, for you trying to just pull away and just push as hard as you could?
Well, yeah, you kind of hit it on the nail. basically, once I saw that he pit, I knew that I had to run as hard as I can without wrecking the car. And I was kind of worried about that because I know with the setup I had that if I made any kind of mistake, I was going spinning around or I was hitting the wall. So it was pretty tough. It was pretty stressful as well. But as we were driving along, I kept on hearing of Austin's struggles, and it made me kind of feel a little bit more at ease with my strategy.
Yeah, Justin, we know that you were kind of on a limited schedule coming in and joining the Cup Series here. With you getting this win, though, it does put you in playoff contention. Are you most likely going to be coming back and trying to race for the playoffs?
I mean, it's hard telling, but right now my schedule is pretty set. I have other prior engagements that will take up this time after this month, so it's hard telling. Like, obviously, I would love to race with these guys. I've had a lot of fun racing on Sunday nights with the boys and everybody around, but just sometimes things get in the way.
Yeah, go ahead, Justin. And I mean, lap traffic, we talked about at the stage break, but it seemed to sort of really clear up after that final stage break. Tracks just seemed a lot more open then for you, and well, you definitely used it to your favor over your teammate.
Right. Yeah, it was I wouldn't say it opened up too well. I mean, every time I got up to a car, I felt like it was pretty treacherous, just because I don't feel like most people know how to drive road courses. Being this is an oval racing league, nobody knows the way it's supposed to go, the rule of the land. But no, it was better. It was better towards the end. I think it was a lot more cars disconnect out of the race, so it did clear up a little bit.
Well, Justin, a solid run for yourself here today, getting a first place and getting the win here at the Roval. But before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, I want to obviously thank the Luminary guys. I actually just joined them this week, even though I've been with these guys for years. I finally decided to join and put on the Toyota Camry, get away from my Ford. So I want to thank these guys. These guys are great to race with. It was great racing with Austin. I don't know next time I'll be able to race with him, but it was fun to kind of do the thing with him. So that was fun. I want to thank you guys as well. You guys put on a great broadcast. I love watching you guys, even when I don't do so well. You guys make it really, really fun to watch. And I also got to thank the guys over at the league for putting on the show, putting on a pretty solid racing league.
Well, Justin, it's been a blast to watch you race here today, and an awesome run for yourself. Able to pull away, get it yourselves almost over a 30-second gap on the rest of the field. A great run for yourself, getting this win, and hopefully you can continue this run moving forward into next week at Auto Club. Good luck and have a great rest of your night there, Justin.
Thank you.
And Scott, as we have come to now our post-race part of this race, what are some of your final thoughts of this race?
Look, I mean, it's difficult. To every single one of those drivers out there that made multiple laps, I'm talking about our good friend, Matthew Rodriguez. Matty, difficult night out on the track, but he's still stuck in. He got around. Another big shout out to Riggs. Riggs disconnected halfway through that race. He could have just gone, you know what? My internet ran out. It didn't work. That's it. I'm throwing in the towel. No. Rejoined in, grabbed up as many points as you can. Those guys with the right attitudes, even though when they know that they're up against the wall, those are the guys that win championships. Yeah, they may not have the skills to succeed on the Roval, but it's not about the Roval. 75, 90%, whatever it is of the championship is won on ovals. You come to Rovals and you're just trying to minimize your losses. That's what it's all about. So those guys have done themselves a whole bag of favors tonight.
Yeah, and Justin Munsell becoming the 5th winner this season with 5 races left. There's going to be drivers going to have to figure out how to point their way into the top 12 if they want to have a chance to even battle for a championship. 5 races left in the regular season, a lot of opportunities. We've got Auto Club, Pocono, Bristol, Texas, and Richmond. It's a mixed bag of racetracks that these drivers are going to have to deal with moving on. And really, you got to look at the setup guys, as this is an open setup league. A lot of these setup guys have a lot to work with. You've got yourself the 2-mile racetrack of Auto Club, and then you've also got Pocono being 2 miles and so different about picking what corner you're going to deal with. Then you've got short tracks at Bristol and Richmond, and then the 1 mile at Texas. It's going to be very interesting to see how these drivers try to evolve and who's going to be getting their first win of the season, or will we continue to see multiple wins to these drivers that have already won. As we come to a close here, Scott, I want to say thank you for being in the booth with me. This has been a blast so far. I know this was your first FRN broadcast. It was an amazing time to work with you.
Oh, look, and it was what one hell of a race to start things off with. I mean, so much good action, so much strategy to talk about. Look, it's not again. I'll say it till the cows come home. I've won at Charlotte Roval. I know what it takes. It's not easy. But even for the guys that were in last position out there and just turning laps around the track, such a great night, and the attitudes of everyone, just phenomenal. And that's what I want to see every time I come to watch iRacing.
It's been a blast so far here tonight. As the Roval has come to a close here for the Flatout Racing Network, it's been always a pleasure, and you got to watch a presentation of us broadcasting this race. But here on the Flatout Racing Network YouTube channel, the action continues on this week. We've got 2 more races this week. As it is Thanksgiving week, we're going to have a lot of off weeks for some of the other broadcasts that we do, but tomorrow night, we've got ourselves the Slipstream F1 Championships. They've got 2 more races left in the season. We already know Bronson Stafford won the championship for the drivers. It's all about constructors. Can AlphaTauri lock it up tomorrow night? Or will we be seeing Ferrari make a push there? Then also, we've got ourselves the G-Force series guys and their ARCA cars. They're going to be at Bristol. It's going to be a lot of carnage there, short track racing. We'll see who survives. Then we're going to have ourselves a pretty long break until next week, as we'll be here for Clutch Drop at Auto Club. Thank you for myself, Sam Dyer, and with me here is Scott Rankin, and it's been a blast here tonight at the Roval. Justin Munsell gets the win here for that 98 machine in the Luminary crew, and now we'll see who can get it done at Auto Club next week. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you next week at California.